Hi. So, tonight on the Drunk Book Review, we are going to talk about one of my definitely all-time favorite books. Like, almost my favorite ever Stephen King book. He has so many good ones. It's really kind of tough to say. But it's definitely up there. So, let me just tell you a little bit about me, in case you don't know me. I'm a spooky bitch. That's my tagline. But I love scary things, love scary books. So, thankfully, I had a mom who did not censor my reading materials. So, when I was 12 and she found me with her copy of The Shining, she didn't really make a big deal of it. Of course, that was in the 80s, and perhaps moms were a little more lenient on those kind of things. So yeah, loved The Shining. It was mind blower. Been hooked on Stephen King ever since. So the book I'm going to be talking about tonight, I don't know, you guys might know it, you might not. It's called Dr. Sleep. So if you are familiar with The Shining, I'm going to work on the assumption that you are. Whether you've read the book or seen the movie, you probably have seen the movie. You're going to love Dr. Sleep because it's a continuation. It's sort of part 2, but many decades in between. So what is it about? It's about Dan, not Danny anymore, Torrance. So it is the little boy, on the tricycle, yes. Big wheel, yes. That he rode through the Overlook, you know him. Red Rob, yes. Danny. Dan is all grown up. And when we enter the story, he's a dick. He really is not a super likable guy. And I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Knowing what we know about Stephen King and his drinking problems and going through AA. So he knows how to make you not really bad drunk, which is what Dan Torrance is in the beginning. So yes. Anyway, we are introduced to him in a very poor light. And then we are introduced to Abra Stone, who is a little girl who also has the shine, which, again, if you're familiar with The Shining, you know what that means, right? Because Dick Halloran told us all about it. Anyway, so she shines from birth. Her parents are like, well, this is weird. When she's a few months old, they both have this separate dream about her, where they see these weird numbers, and she wakes up crying, and it's all this crazy thing. And then the next day is September 11th. And they realize that the numbers that they saw in their dream was 9/11. Yeah. So anyway, she's got the shine. She can see things. She understands things. And she starts having these dreams about this group of vagabonds who are called the True Knot. Not, but not not. Right. So they are these gypsies who travel in RVs across the world, the country. Sorry, it's the Moscato talking. Happy Moscato Day. So they have RVs and they travel and they live off of what they call the steam. And so they find little kids like Abra, like Danny, who have the shine. And they live off of their power. They kill them, and they kind of in Spaceballs, they have the canned air. It's kind of like that, but it's the steam from these kids who have the special power. Anywho, Abra has this dream. She sees them kill this kid, and so she starts getting in touch with Dan. But not via, Facebook or, text message or anything. She starts showing up in his room where he lives at the time and writing on this chalkboard. But, like, she's not really there, sort of astral projection, sort of like Princess Leia, like, no. Like, let's forget I said Princess Leia, because this has nothing to do with Star Wars. Again, Moscato talking. So, anyway, like, her hologram shows up, and they start trading messages back and forth on this chalkboard. But, like, by this point in the story, Dan has kind of, like, reformed himself. He's going to AA, which maybe I need. I'm not quite sure. And he's become respectable. He's working at this old folks home, and he has become what they call Dr. Sleep, because he can see, like, this light, this color that surrounds people when they're going to die, and he can kind of talk them through it and, like, give them peaceful passage onto the next world. And he has this cat called Azrael. Like, I'm sorry, any Smurf fans, you're going to pick up on that, right? So anyway, they're communicating back and forth mentally, and so this whole story starts progressing, and then Abra realizes they're going to try to get her because they want kids who have the steam, because they are running out. Again, like Spaceballs. They're running out, and they're kind of freaking out, and they all start getting this terrible disease, like measles. And they know that Abra is the only hope. So she's trying to get Dan to come and help her. And through this story, they also talk about a thing that Dan does, a thing that Dan has called his lockbox. And in this lockbox are all those spirits you remember in The Shining, like the Naked Lady, room 237, which I will not stay in any hotel room number 237. Just saying thank you very much, Stephen King. Anyway, so like all these spirits that used to haunt him as a child, he has locked in his lockbox. It was a trick that, again, Doc Halloran, you remember him, taught him when he was young to deal with all of these things that are trying to haunt him. Right, so, like, lockbox, remember that. Alright, so, they are, like, pulling all these tricks, and, like, they kind of ambush the True Knot people, who are trying to get Abra, and Dan drives this little train for kids. It's definitely part of the story. So they keep sending these mental messages to the True Knot people about this train, so they come, and it's this whole thing, and they run the whole double twist thing on them. So, True Knot, yeah, they're not nice people. And again, like, you know, you go to campsites, you've been to campsites, right? Everybody's been to campsites. I'm from Ohio, I've been to campsites. And, like, there's, like, a crazy demographic of people that come to these. So everybody kind of senses it's weird. These True Knot people, they don't have dogs. And, like, I know how I feel about dogs, and people who don't like dogs, especially RV people who don't have any dogs, it's kind of weird. But see, the thing with the True Knot and dogs, the dogs can see through them, and they know that they're not right. So they are trying to meet up with them so that they can kind of defeat this True Knot people and take them all out. The leader of the True Knot is called Rose the Hat, which, I mean, she's kind of a big bitch, and she's not a very nice person, but, like, Rose the Hat, that's kind of a nice name. It's a cool name. It's a badass name. But, yeah, they are trying to do bad things. So anyway, we're not on their side. So turns out they're headed for this campground where they're going to meet up with Dan and Abra, amongst others. And guess where the campground is? I'll give you 3 guesses. The Overlook Hotel. Yes, which has since been torn down, of course, because it's haunted and scary and shit. Terrible things happen there. So, but that's where the campground is. So, woo, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. So again, they're making their journey across the country, recruiting people, like doing all kinds of terrible things. Rose the Hat, Crow Daddy, like these are crazy gypsy names, right? And the gypsies, they like to refer to humans as rubes, which, let's face it, that's pretty true. Anyway, so they get there to the campground, and guess who helps them save the day? Are you ready for this? Jack motherfucking Torrance. Yes, he's there, well, like a spirit, whatever, like, but I'm not going to tell you what happens because you need to read the book, but he's there. Yeah. So anyway, like every other Stephen King story in the history of time, because like this is just what he does, guess what's coming? A movie. Yes, it's supposed to be like November-ish of this year. So definitely you want this to be your Thanksgiving, not really feel-good movie. But I'll tell you what I'm excited about. Guess who's going to play Dan Torrance? Ewan McGregor. He is so handsome. I'm super excited about this. So, yeah. That's Dr. Sleep. Please do yourself a favor. Go check this out of your library. It's fairly sizable. But I'll tell you what, like every other Stephen King that I think is going to take me a long time, this took me like a couple of days to read. I actually took it on a cruise with me because like there's nothing like a Stephen King book to keep you from talking to you when you're in your lounge chair. Anyway, happy Moscato Day, happy Thursday, whatever else you want to celebrate today. I love you. Stay tuned for the next spooky book. Good night.